Now, if you had to represent yourself in court, would you know how to do it? Changes to the legal and aid system mean that tens of thousands of people won't be able to get financial support anymore and may need to consider bringing their own lawyer, or being their own lawyer as well. Barristers have now published a guide for people considering representing themselves in court. Philip Hampshire has more.
The British government spends just over £2 billion a year on legal aid, an amount it said we can no longer afford in these austere times. To cut costs, this week it reduced the number of areas covered, including welfare, employment, housing and debt where someone isn't at imminent risk of losing their home, immigration and family and child cases such as divorce, except where there are allegations of domestic violence. So if you no longer qualify for legal aid, how easy is it to represent yourself in court?
You will be fighting your own corner, and it's difficult to do that over something which you are so emotionally connected with. And it's the way in which you can avoid court that it will be difficult if you are not a professional person.
All barristers in England and Wales must be a member of one of the Inns of Court in London. Here there are chambers, libraries and law schools where advocates can practice and train. So if you do find yourself in court against an opponent who has a good deal more experience of being there, do you really stand a chance of getting justice?
The most important person in the court in this situation, of course, is the judge. And I think it's imbued into every judge that they're obliged to make sure that there is a level playing field that goes on in any trial, because let's put it this way, no judge ever wants to be appealed, and they are very conscious of wanting to get it right.
So do the British public feel confident enough to appear in court and represent themselves?
No, because you lose all the skills. You pay a professional lawyer for the skill set they have.
I would absolutely not feel comfortable representing myself in court. I wouldn't know where to start.
I would, but I think there are a lot of people that maybe wouldn't. I'm quite used to public speaking.
If you're on a budget, what can you do?
First of all, look and see if you can get advice from a voluntary agency, an advice centre, something like that. Secondly, stop and see if you can find £50, £70, £100, buy a particular piece of advice from a lawyer. It'll tell you whether to even stop the case at that stage. Third, be prepared. Treat it like an interview or an exam. Do your homework, have a checklist.
If you do intend to represent yourself in court, the Bar Council has produced a handy 70-page guide. It's free and available from their website. Above all, a key piece of advice from the experts is that court is rarely like it is on the telly. So if you fancy yourself as the next Rumpole of the Bailey or even Ally McBeal, do bear in mind that that's more likely to annoy the judge than impress them. Philip Hampshire, BBC News.